so just to acknowledge that fathers also experience this, and that when couples have depression in their relationship, there's often a lot of conflict, and you were talking about relationship conflict. This is very common, and so, you know, I think we need to really focus on anticipatory guidance for the couples as to what to expect in the postpartum period, realistic expectations about how to communicate effectively, how to co-parent and work together as a team. These are preventative strategies that we haven't evaluated, but I think that that's someplace we need to go, and I think we need to incorporate fathers in the picture of caring for the family in the postpartum period. What else? I think these are all the main points that have been raised here right now. Also, just a comment about breastfeeding. Amy had a really unique experience with breastfeeding, but some of my research clearly suggests that if a mother has postpartum depression, especially early in the postpartum period, she's at very high risk to stop breastfeeding by 8 weeks postpartum. You were able to continue to breastfeed to 6 months or longer, it sounds like, but that's very unusual. If a mother has postpartum depression, she's significantly more likely not to stop breastfeeding by 4 weeks, but by 8 weeks, her chances of stopping breastfeeding is extremely high. And that's really unfortunate, because one of the symptoms of postpartum depression is that mothers feel like they're not very good mothers, and they worry about what other people are thinking about their mothering ability. And to fail at breastfeeding is just another way that she's failed at her mothering role. So we as healthcare professionals, we really need to support mothers in the early postpartum period, not only the ones that are experiencing depression, but also supporting, like not just the depressive episode, but also the breastfeeding experience, so these mothers can succeed at that, and that can help them overcome their depressive episode. One of the simple aspects. Maybe we can now start opening it up to, or I could also just mention my postpartum depression treatment trial that we're just currently finishing, just to talk about some of the research that's going on. Right now, I'm just finishing a trial where we're trying to offer treatment options to mothers in rural, remote areas. These mothers typically do not have access to a mental health specialist, or geography plays a role in limiting their accessibility to treatment. They might just have access to a public health nurse or a family physician. Not that that's a bad thing, but some mothers might need some extensive psychotherapy, such as cognitive behavioral therapy or interpersonal psychotherapy. Well, we've just finished a clinical trial that's been conducted across Canada, where we're evaluating telephone-based interpersonal psychotherapy provided by a nurse who is supervised by a psychiatrist. So what we're doing is looking at different ways to provide care to mothers in rural, remote areas. And rural, remote can be, in Orangeville, right? There might not be a lot of mental health options available, treatment options. So that's one thing that we've just finished. And I'm just finishing a study looking at why immigrant moms might be at higher risk to develop postpartum depression. Some of my research suggests that they might be 5 times more likely to develop postpartum depression, and the question is why? And we really don't know why, but we're just finishing what we're currently recruiting. So if there's any Chinese moms out there who are recent immigrants or who are Canadian born but have had a child within the past 4 weeks, or are pregnant, we're recruiting pregnant Chinese moms. That what we're doing is we're recruiting immigrant Chinese moms, but also Canadian-born Chinese moms. So we're controlling for the culture, and we're looking at the immigrant experience, and we're evaluating the role of acculturative stress, practicing traditional postpartum rituals, the role of the family in the support in the postpartum period, and how that influences why an immigrant mom may or may not be at increased risk, and what are the causes of why they might be at risk, so that we can develop preventative strategies that are more culturally sensitive. So that's another study that we're currently finishing. Just have about 50 more mothers to recruit, and then we have 600 mothers recruited for that trial. So anyways, just some of the work that we're currently doing.
I actually know a Canadian-born Chinese mom who just gave birth, I would say, about 6-7 weeks ago.
Okay.
Is that who you're recruiting?
Well, less than 4 weeks.
Oh, okay, less than 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she might know other Chinese moms. So I have a little brochure that I can give you.
Okay.
my recruitment brochure if anybody wants to pick those up.
Okay.
My research manager would love that. But, you know, I just think that we need to look at vulnerable populations, and I think immigrant moms might be a particularly vulnerable population, and what can we do to provide culturally sensitive care to this group? That's right.
Yep.
Great.
Thank
you.
you, Cindy Lee.